That's a good question. To become less reliant on feedback, you need to do master studies. You need to learn things on your own. You need to come to your own conclusions. That's kind of the big thing. So, for example, if you have a question about, okay, I'm trying to do this body mechanics, and I tried to get this to work, and it didn't work. What do I do? How do I get it to work? Your first response should not be, I'll ask for help and see what someone else tells me. That's a good response, but we don't want to do that yet. The first response should always be, I'm going to learn about it. I'm going to study it. So if you are trying to get some body mechanics, let's say, to work, or an acting choice or something like that, and it's not quite working, do your research. Do a master study. Study a film. Read a book about like acting or emotions. Study anatomy. So for example, when I was working on the sculpt and sometimes like the anatomy was not quite right, I would not just go right to the mentor and go, hey, what's the wrong here? I would read up on anatomy. I would study all the muscles in the shoulder and the back, and I would try to make my own conclusions first. Once I do that, sometimes I would solve it and then I'd keep moving. Other times I couldn't quite get it right. At that point, you can ask for feedback. But then what happens is you did all of that studying and you've got kind of like the basis of the answer, but you don't have the full answer yet, which makes it much easier that when the mentor or whoever gives you the feedback and tells you, oh, it's just this, it fits all the puzzle pieces together. Now you can go, click, I can remember this for next time. It makes you remember. If your entire process is, I've got something I don't understand. Hey, can you help me? And then you get the feedback and you just apply it. Do you know why you applied it? Do you know why you were doing this thing versus the other? No. You need to try to answer the question yourself first. If that's the best way to avoid getting over-reliant on feedback. You need to be able to self-learn. And that goes for any studio. When you're working at a studio, you do not want to be the animator that is constantly going to their supervising animator and go, hey, I don't know what I should be doing here. Can you take a look at this? And then they'll give you some feedback and then you'll go, hey, about this next thing, I don't know what I should be doing here. Can you tell me what to do? They're not going to like that. You need to be able to go through and kind of learn that on your own. Okay, what do I need to do here? I've got my basic outline. Okay, I need to have this acting choice. I need to make the character sad. Okay, who is this character? I go to the different departments and I figure out, okay, who's this character? What do they look like when they're sad? What's their personality? What's the subtext of the scene? What's the scene before mine? What's the scene after mine? I do all of that work myself. I need to do that. I'm not going to expect someone else to do it for me. I put all of that in. Yeah, exactly. You take ownership of the shot. And then when there's something I still don't understand and I can't find an answer anywhere else, that's when I ask for help. Asking for help should not be the first instinct. It is an instinct you need to have. You have to ask for help. At some point you will need help and you need to be able to ask that without being afraid. But it shouldn't be your first instinct. If your first instinct is, hey, I did a change. Can you double check that I did this right? You need to have the confidence. You need to build that confidence. And the way you build that confidence is, again, studying and making informed choices. So, what's a good example? I'm trying to think of a shot or something on the sculpt I can use as an example. Well, here, we'll use this as an example. Lots of rolling back and forth today. I'm getting my workout. There you go. We'll call it a workout. Scooting like a foot in one direction. So, as I was working on this, I had a question at one point. I want to add detail on the boots. So, on the bottom of the boots, I didn't want them to just be flat and boring. I wanted to add actual treads right here. So when I did that, I didn't just go, hey, what treads should I use? Okay, and then I get feedback and I put them in and, hey, did I do it right? No. What I did was, okay, I'm going to add treads. I know I have to do this. Now, there's a few criteria here. I want to follow the treads and the design that's in the show. That's the diamond pattern right there. I want to keep it simple. I don't want to go super realistic and like tons of detail. Okay? And I want to make it a little bit more believable so that it's not just a very basic, like it's too cartoony or else it's going to not fit the style of the sculpt. So I went through and I studied what kind of treads are used for boots. What do they typically look like? I looked through a ton of images and then I made a bunch of different concepts based on all of those to try and make a good combination. From there, I then went through and applied it to the boot. That took a long time. That was a lot of trial and error and a lot of testing. But I did that on my own. I made sure to do that research based on all the criteria I already had. Then when I show it to the mentor, they're able to go through and refine me on those choices. But I didn't have to rely on them for any of it. I still used their feedback and applied it afterwards, but all the choices were made consciously, and I made sure to progress there. So when they go, okay, why did you do this? I don't go, tread? I don't know, boot. It's like, yeah, that's not an answer. Boot? What kind of answer is that? No, I can give them, okay, I was studying this kind of boot. It's based on a work boot, steel toe. I also wanted to incorporate the cartoon elements and I wanted to keep it simple. I can fill in all those blanks and give them the reasoning for every single one of those. And then they can go, but if you also think about this thing, or, you know, that element about keeping a cartooniness, because you're so, like, you're right on the edge of realistic, you should maybe think about pushing this element of it. Suddenly, it's not just fix it, it's I'm understanding why I need to fix it and at which stage I went wrong. And this goes for animation, it goes for drawing, it goes for anything. We need to be able to self-study. So the same thing happened with the sneakers. So for the sneakers here, like you can see that was the old tread right there, and so nothing. And then the new tread that I just put in like yesterday. And this is based off of a lot of reference and just kind of trying to create this very specific feeling to the shoe. But again, that was from a lot of study. I didn't just do it out of the top of my head. Yeah, exactly. Converse. That's exactly right. So anyone who has a Converse, it's like, yeah, you probably recognize it. Which is, again, based on the fan art, or not the fan art, the concept art that Noelle Stevenson had created. So I used that and I mixed it with actual Converse. Not exactly the same, a little changed. So the design here is definitely Converse inspired, but then mixed in with the original artwork and all of those, and fit into a more cartoony, kind of simplified style. So yeah, all of it comes from, once again, doing that self-study, learning to ask questions and find the answer yourself. And sometimes you won't find an answer, in which case, definitely it's okay to ask for help. But you need to be able to find the answer, and if the person asks you, what were you trying to do here? Give a response.